Under the scorching midday sun of the African savanna, a mother cheetah named Amara lay hidden amidst tall golden grasses, her amber eyes scanning the horizon with fierce intensity. Her lithe body was tense, muscles coiled, every sense alert. Around her, three tiny cubs, barely a few weeks old, huddled close, their spotted coats blending perfectly with the dappled sunlight, filtering through scattered acacia trees. The gentle breeze carried the distant calls of birds, but Amara's attention was fixed on a dark shape creeping steadily from the brush, a looming threat that stirred a primal fear in her heart. The predator was a large male leopard, known for his ruthless hunting skills, silently stalking the vulnerable family. Amara whispered softly to her cubs, "Stay close, my little ones, danger is near." Her voice, though low, brimmed with protective determination. The cubs whimpered but remained still, sensing their mother's tension. Every second counted. Survival was a fragile thread woven by instincts and courage. Amara's heart pounded as the leopard drew closer, his sleek body melting into the shadows with unnerving silence. She whispered, "I will not let harm come to you," to her cubs, whose fragile breaths quickened in response. The vast savanna seemed to hold its breath, every rustle a threat, every shadow a potential attack. Time slowed as instinct and love merged in a primal bond. Amara's mind raced, calculating every step, every option. The cubs must survive. She moved quietly, positioning herself between them and the predator, muscles taut like a bowstring ready to snap. Her protective instincts surged, a fierce fire igniting deep within. This was a battle for survival, not just strength but courage, strategy, and heart. The mother's eyes never left the stalking figure, as the wind shifted and whispered warnings through the grass. The leopard's eyes gleamed with predatory hunger as he narrowed the distance, muscles coiled like a spring. Amara's tail flicked in warning, a silent signal to her cubs to stay low. Her heart hammered fiercely, but her stance remained unwavering. "Stay hidden, stay silent," she murmured. The cubs, sensing the grave danger, nestled deeper into the grass, their tiny bodies trembling but still. Every second was a fragile thread woven with hope and fear. The world around them seemed to fade, leaving only the raw tension between predator and protector. Amara's sharp gaze never wavered, calculating every move, preparing for the moment when survival instincts would erupt into action. Amara's muscles tightened as she crouched lower, ready to spring. The cubs were nestled safely behind her, their fragile breathing mingling with the rustling grass. "You are my strength," she whispered fiercely to herself. The predator's steps grew louder, but she did not flinch. Her mind was a whirlwind of strategy and raw emotion. Protecting her cubs was all that mattered. The tension in the air was electric, a silent battle waged without sound, a dance of life and death where every heartbeat counted. Amara's resolve shone brighter than the scorching sun, a beacon of hope amid the looming shadow of danger. Suddenly, the leopard broke cover with lightning speed, muscles rippling as he lunged toward the cubs. Amara exploded into motion, a blur of power and grace, intercepting the attack with a fierce growl. "Not today," she growled, teeth bared. The cubs scattered, darting for safety as the battle erupted in a whirlwind of claws and raw determination. The savanna echoed with the primal sounds of survival, growls, hisses, the sharp clash of wills. Amara's heart pounded in rhythm with the fight. This was the ultimate test of her courage and love. Every second could mean life or death. Her cubs' lives depended on her strength and cunning. The moment was as beautiful as it was brutal, a stunning testament to the fierce bond of a mother and her young. The dust settled as Amara's fierce defense forced the leopard to retreat momentarily, his snarls fading into the distance. Her breath came in heavy pants, chest heaving with adrenaline, but her eyes remained vigilant. The cubs, trembling but unharmed, gathered close, their tiny bodies pressed against her protective frame. "We survived this time," Amara murmured, voice steady but laced with urgency. The savanna around them was silent now, but the danger was far from over. Every shadow could harbor a threat, every rustle a new challenge. Amara scanned the horizon, calculating their next move. She knew the leopard would return, driven by hunger and territorial instinct. Survival was a fragile dance of patience and courage. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows that stretched like silent warnings. Amara whispered, "Stay close, we must be ready." As the sun continued its slow descent, Amara led her cubs through the tall grasses toward a shaded thicket where they could rest and stay hidden. Her steps were deliberate and silent, muscles rippling beneath her sleek fur with each cautious move. "We need shelter and safety," she whispered, the urgency in her voice softened by a mother's love. The cubs followed, their small paws patting softly on the dry earth, ears twitching at every distant sound. The air grew cooler, the sky painted in hues of orange and pink. Shadows deepened beneath the canopy as they entered the thicket. Amara's heart remained heavy with worry, knowing the predator's presence lingered close. Yet, she pushed forward, fueled by an unyielding determination to protect her young. The fragile peace was a brief respite in a relentless battle for survival. Inside the sheltering thicket, Amara paused, scanning the dense undergrowth with keen eyes. Her cubs nestled close, seeking warmth and protection beneath her watchful gaze. "Rest now but stay alert," she murmured, voice barely above a whisper. The world outside was unpredictable, filled with silent dangers and hidden predators. Each rustle of leaves, each crack of a twig, set her nerves on edge. Yet here, beneath the thick canopy, a fragile calm settled over the family. The cubs' breathing slowed, tiny bodies relaxing in the fleeting security. Amara's ears twitched at every faint sound, alert for the slightest hint of the leopard's return. Time stretched, a delicate balance between exhaustion and vigilance. She remained poised, ready to spring into action if needed, embodying fierce maternal resolve. Suddenly, a distant rustling shattered the fragile peace, sending a ripple of tension through Amara's body. Her eyes snapped open, nostrils flaring as she caught the scent of the leopard returning. "Not yet," she hissed softly, signaling her cubs to stay hidden beneath the foliage. Her muscles tensed like a spring, every nerve primed for confrontation. The predator's presence was a looming shadow, stalking the edge of their sanctuary. Amara's mind raced through plans and possibilities, weighing strength against stealth. The cubs trembled silently, sensing the rising danger despite her calm facade. Every heartbeat was a countdown, every breath a whispered prayer. The sun dipped lower, shadows deepening, painting the thicket in hues of twilight. Survival depended on readiness and relentless courage. The leopard's growl echoed faintly through the trees as he closed in, a dark silhouette against the fading light. Amara's muscles coiled, ready to defend her cubs once more. "This ends now," she growled, a fierce promise burning in her eyes. The cubs, trembling but brave, pressed against her as the predator emerged into the clearing. The final confrontation was imminent, a fierce clash of wills under the twilight sky. Amara's body was a blur of strength and speed, a perfect storm of maternal instinct and survival skill. The Savanna held its breath as two powerful forces collided in a dance, as old as nature itself. The outcome would decide the fate of the Cheetah family and echo through the wild for generations. The night air hung heavy over the Savanna as Amara retreated with her cubs to a secluded rocky outcrop, a natural fortress against the lurking dangers. Her body was still trembling from the recent battle, yet her resolve burned brighter than ever. The cubs nestled close, their wide eyes reflecting the starlit sky, trusting her without question. "Tonight we rest, but the fight is not over," she whispered softly. The distant calls of nocturnal creatures filled the stillness, a reminder that the wild never truly sleeps. Shadows danced beneath the silver moonlight, stretching long and unpredictable. Amara's gaze swept the horizon, alert for any sign of the leopard or other threats. Each breath she took was a vow of protection. The world was vast and unforgiving, but her love was fiercer. Survival was a long journey, and she would lead her family through it, no matter the cost. As the stars flickered overhead, Amara's thoughts wandered to the future, to the day her cubs would run free across these plains. But for now, the fragile piece was a gift she could scarcely afford. She licked the fur of each cub, a gentle ritual of comfort and reassurance. The cool night breeze whispered through the grasses, carrying scents of distant prey and predators alike. "You must grow strong, my little ones," she murmured, voice thick with both hope and caution. Each cub stirred, their tiny paws twitching in dreams yet to come. Amara's ears twitched at every faint sound, the snap of a twig, the rustle of leaves, ready to awaken at the first hint of danger. In this harsh world, every moment of safety was precious. Her heart ached with the weight of responsibility, but it also swelled with unbreakable love. Suddenly, a sharp rustle shattered the quiet night, sending Amara into instant alert. Her body tensed, eyes wide and piercing through the darkness. "Stay close," she hissed quietly, nudging her cubs into the protective shelter of a crevice. The shadows shifted, revealing a pair of glowing eyes, another predator, a hyena, prowling near. Amara's instincts surged as she growled low, a warning that echoed through the still night. The cubs trembled, but Amara stood firm, muscles coiled and ready. The hyena circled cautiously, testing the resolve of this fierce mother. The delicate balance between life and death teetered on the edge of a knife. Amara's fierce gaze never faltered. This night demanded everything she had. The hyena snarled and lunged, but Amara met the attack with swift, precise strikes. Her claws flashed in the moonlight, a blur of deadly grace. The cubs cried out, their tiny voices sharp and frightened, yet shielded by their mother's fierce defense. The rocky terrain echoed with the clash of teeth and claws, a brutal symphony of survival. Amara's heart pounded fiercely as she fought not just for herself, but for the future of her lineage. The hyena retreated, wounded and wary, leaving the family shaken but unbroken. "You are safe now," Amara whispered, her voice heavy with exhaustion and relief. The night held its breath once more, a brief pause in the endless struggle between predator and protector. As dawn's first light painted the horizon in soft pinks and oranges, Amara gathered her cubs close once more. The long night had tested their spirits, but the bond between mother and young had only grown stronger. "We have survived another night," she murmured, eyes scanning the awakening landscape. The cubs blinked sleepily, their tiny bodies growing stronger with each passing moment. The Savanna was waking, alive with the sounds of birds and distant calls. Amara's heart swelled with fierce pride and cautious hope. This was but one day in a life shaped by danger and love. The journey ahead was uncertain, but together they would face it, undaunted and united. The sun climbed higher, promising new challenges and new chances. The morning sun rose high over the expansive savanna as Amara led her cubs cautiously toward a nearby waterhole. Her sleek body moved with a careful grace, muscles rippling beneath golden fur. The cubs, still small but growing stronger, followed closely, their playful steps masking the lessons of survival that awaited them. "Drink, but stay alert," Amara urged softly, eyes scanning the shimmering surface and surrounding trees. The waterhole was a lifeline, yet it attracted many dangers: predators, rivals, and lurking threats, hidden in plain sight. The air was thick with anticipation, the heat rising, blending with the tension in her heart. Every drop mattered. Her maternal instinct sharpened, pushing her to protect her young while teaching them to adapt. The Savanna was both cradle and battlefield, and today would test their resilience anew. As the cubs lapped cautiously at the cool water, Amara's ears twitched at every distant sound. Her gaze never wavered from the tree line, where shadows seemed to move with silent intent. "Drink quickly, then away," she murmured, voice steady but urgent. The cubs obeyed, their small tongues flicking rapidly, eyes wide with a mixture of thirst and wariness. The savanna's stillness was deceptive. Dangers often lurked just beyond sight. Amara's protective nature was a constant shield, ready to spring into action at the first sign of threat. Her heart raced with the weight of responsibility. Today, like every day, was a delicate balance between survival and nurturing growth. The wind shifted, carrying faint scents of other predators. Time was short, and the lesson was clear. Vigilance never rested. Suddenly, the sharp crack of a branch breaking sent a wave of alarm through Amara's body. Her head snapped up, eyes blazing with fierce determination. "Move!" she commanded, voice low but urgent. The cubs scrambled, barely keeping pace, as Amara darted toward the cover of nearby tall grasses. Her senses screamed of an approaching danger. A rival lion pride patrolling the edges of her territory. The cubs' small feet pounded the earth in panic, but Amara's steady presence was their anchor. Every instinct screamed survival, every muscle tensed to defend. The heat of the day seemed to boil as the threat neared, transforming the peaceful waterhole into a crucible of danger. Amara vowed to protect her family with every breath, every heartbeat. Amara pushed through the thick grasses with urgent speed, the cubs struggling to keep up, yet fueled by her fierce example. The distant roars of lions echoed ominously, shaking the air with raw power. "Stay low. Stay quiet," she hissed, guiding them toward a hidden rocky crevice she knew well. The cubs pressed close, their breath ragged but determined. Amara's heart pounded as she weighed her options: fight, flee, or hide. She chose sanctuary, knowing the terrain better than any rival. The cubs' safety was paramount. Every second was a precious gamble, a test of knowledge and instinct. The sun blazed overhead, casting harsh light on a landscape both beautiful and brutal. This was the Savannah's unforgiving lesson in survival. Reaching the rocky crevice, Amara gathered her cubs tight within the shelter's cool shadow. "Here, you are safe," she promised, voice trembling with exhaustion and relief. The cubs nestled against her, their small bodies warming in the protective embrace. Outside, the roars of lions faded slowly, replaced by the quiet hum of the Savannah's life. Amara's eyes closed briefly, drawing strength from the momentary peace. Yet her mind was restless. Each new day brought new threats, and her vigilance could never wane. The bond with her cubs was her anchor and her shield. In this wild, untamed world, love was both her greatest strength and her fiercest weapon. The sun dipped lower, promising night and the continuation of their fight for survival. The sun climbed higher as Amara led her cubs into an open plain, where the tall grasses swayed under the midday heat. Her muscles rippled with every step, eyes scanning the horizon for threats and prey alike. The cubs trailed closely, their legs wobbling but eager to follow. "Stay close and learn," Amara urged softly, her voice carrying the weight of survival lessons yet to come. The vast landscape stretched endlessly, a place both of freedom and danger. Every rustle and distant cry sharpened her senses. The cubs, young and unsteady, relied entirely on her guidance. Amara's heart throbbed with fierce pride and unyielding resolve. The balance of nurturing and protecting was a daily test, and she faced it with unwavering courage. Today, the Savannah would teach them new truths. As the cubs stumbled through the grasses, Amara's watchful gaze never wavered. "Learn to listen," she murmured, her ears twitching at distant bird calls and subtle rustles. The cubs perked their ears, trying to mimic her focus. The world was alive with sounds, each one a clue to survival. Amara moved with graceful precision, teaching them patience and caution. The midday heat pressed down, but the lesson was clear. Knowledge was their shield. The cubs' tiny hearts raced with excitement and uncertainty. Amara's presence was their anchor, steady and strong. Her eyes scanned for any sign of danger while gently nudging the cubs to observe and absorb the rhythms of the wild. Every moment was a stepping stone to independence. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed as a branch snapped nearby. Amara's body tensed instantly, muscles coiling like springs. "Hide!" she hissed urgently, her voice low but commanding. The cubs scrambled behind her, eyes wide with fear. The threat was real. A large male lion emerged slowly from the shade, his mane dark and eyes locked on the family. Amara's heartbeat thundered, but her stance was unwavering. This was the ultimate test. A predator, bigger and stronger than any before. Her maternal instinct flared fiercely as she prepared to defend her cubs against impossible odds. The open plain held no refuge, only the raw clash of wills. Time slowed as the battle for survival began anew. Amara lunged forward with blinding speed, claws extended, teeth bared in a fierce snarl. The cubs scattered instinctively, darting toward scattered tall grass and nearby bushes. The lion roared, a deep, resonant sound that shook the earth beneath their feet. But Amara fought with the fury of a mother possessed, each swipe and dodge a testament to her unbreakable will. The battle was brutal and raw, the open terrain leaving little room for stealth. Dust swirled, muscles strained, and hearts pounded in a deadly dance of survival. The cubs watched from their hiding spots, their wide eyes filled with fear and hope. Amara's strength was their shield, their only chance to live another day. As the lion finally retreated, beaten back by Amara's relentless defense, she gathered her cubs close, panting but victorious. "We survive because we fight," she whispered, her voice raw with exhaustion and pride. The cubs nuzzled her, their small bodies trembling yet safe. The open plain stretched wide and wild, a constant reminder that danger was never far. But in this moment, strength and love forged an unbreakable bond. Amara's eyes shone with fierce determination. The journey ahead would be perilous, but together they would face it, undaunted, united, and alive. The sun blazed overhead, promising more challenges, but also new hope. The late afternoon sun cast a warm amber glow across the vast savanna as Amara led her cubs toward a thicket of dense bushes, a sanctuary from the relentless heat. Her strides were steady, muscles flowing beneath her sleek fur, eyes scanning every shadow for signs of danger. The cubs, still young but growing stronger each day, trailed closely, their small legs unsteady yet determined. "Rest here for a moment," she urged softly, voice filled with gentle authority. The grasses rustled softly in the breeze, carrying faint scents of distant animals and unseen predators. Amara's heart was a steady drum of love and vigilance, the weight of responsibility pressing heavily but never breaking her spirit. This patch of shade was a temporary haven in a world ruled by survival, where every moment of peace was earned through courage and care. As the cubs rested beneath the shade, Amara's ears twitched at the faintest sound, a subtle crack of a twig, a whisper of movement in the distance. Her muscles tensed instantly, eyes narrowing with fierce concentration. "Stay close and silent," she whispered urgently, nudging her cubs closer to her side. The air was thick with tension, the peace fragile and deceptive. The savanna around them held secrets in every shadow, and predators could strike at any moment. Amara's gaze pierced the foliage, alert and unyielding. The cubs, though frightened, mirrored her watchfulness, learning the delicate balance between caution and survival. Each heartbeat was a countdown, each breath a prayer. In this unforgiving land, vigilance was the key to life. Suddenly a low growl rumbled from nearby bushes, and Amara's muscles coiled instantly, eyes flashing with fierce determination. Her cubs pressed closer, trembling but trusting their mother's strength. A rival predator emerged, a wild dog, eyes glinting with hunger and cunning. Amara growled a warning, her voice a sharp command that echoed through the stillness. The cubs stiffened, their small bodies ready to flee but anchored by Amara's protective presence. The wild dog circled cautiously, sensing the mother's resolve but unwilling to back down. The confrontation was a tense standoff, a silent test of wills. Amara's fierce gaze met the dog's calculating stare, a battle fought with eyes before claws. The savanna held its breath, waiting for the inevitable clash. In a flash, Amara sprang forward with lethal grace, claws extended and teeth bared. The cubs scattered into nearby cover, their frightened cries muffled by the rustling grass. The wild dog snapped back, teeth flashing in the golden light, but Amara's ferocity was unmatched. The battle was swift and brutal, a blur of motion and raw instinct. Dust rose in swirling clouds as predator and protector clashed fiercely. Amara's every strike was fueled by the primal love that bound her to her young. The wild dog finally retreated, wounded and wary, leaving Amara panting but victorious. The cubs gathered at her side, their small bodies shaking but safe. "We survived together," she whispered, a vow etched in the wild air. As the sun dipped toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the savanna, Amara gathered her cubs once more. Exhausted but unbroken, she nuzzled each one with tender affection. "Another day survived, my brave little ones," she murmured, voice thick with emotion. The vast wilderness stretched endlessly around them, a place of beauty and danger intertwined. Yet, in this moment of quiet triumph, Amara's heart swelled with fierce pride and cautious hope. The future was uncertain, but together they faced it, strong, united, and alive. The night approached softly, bringing with it new challenges, but also the promise of rest and renewal beneath the stars. The first light of dawn stretched gently across the savanna, painting the horizon with soft pinks and golds. Amara rose gracefully, her lithe form silhouetted against the awakening sky. The cubs stirred, their sleepy eyes blinking open, trusting their mother's steady presence. "Today marks a new chapter," Amara murmured, her voice filled with quiet strength. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the promise of hope and the echo of challenges faced. Every scar, every lesson had forged a bond unbreakable between mother and young. The vast wild stretched endlessly before them, full of opportunity and peril alike. Amara's heart beat steady with resolve. She would guide her cubs into the future, strong and fearless, ready to face whatever the savanna had in store. As the sun climbed higher, Amara led her cubs through the rolling grasses, teaching them to move silently and observe the world with keen eyes. Her voice was soft but firm. "Every step matters. Watch, listen, learn." The cubs imitated her, their young minds absorbing every lesson. The savanna buzzed with life, the calls of birds, the rustle of insects, the distant movements of grazing herbivores. Amara's sharp gaze scanned their surroundings constantly, ever watchful. The cubs grew more confident with each passing moment, their playful energy tempered by growing awareness. This was the delicate dance of growing up wild, a balance between freedom and caution. Amara's heart swelled with pride as she watched her children take their first true steps toward independence. Suddenly, a loud snap echoed nearby, and Amara froze, muscles taut and eyes piercing the dense grass. "Stay close," she whispered urgently. The cubs pressed against her, hearts pounding. From the shadows emerged a rival cheetah, older, larger, eyes sharp with challenge. Amara's jaw tightened, a low growl warning the intruder. This was a test of territory and strength, a confrontation that could change everything. The cubs huddled behind their mother, sensing the gravity of the moment. Amara's mind raced, weighing risks and strategies. This was the savage reality of the wild. Only the strongest could protect what was theirs. Her fierce love ignited into raw power as she prepared to defend her family once more. The rival lunged, teeth bared, but Amara met him head-on with unmatched speed and ferocity. Claws slashed through the air, bodies twisting in a blur of motion. The cubs scrambled into nearby cover, wide-eyed but safe behind their mother's shield. The fight was brutal, a clash of wills and survival instincts under the blazing sun. Amara's every movement was a fierce declaration of love and protection. The rival faltered, retreating with a snarl, conceding the territory and the family's safety. Amara stood victorious but weary, muscles aching from the relentless battle. Her cubs emerged slowly, nuzzling close, their eyes filled with admiration and trust. The savanna had tested them again, and they had prevailed. As twilight settled, painting the sky with fiery oranges and purples, Amara gathered her cubs beneath an ancient acacia tree. "We have fought and survived," she whispered, voice thick with exhaustion and pride. The cubs, now tired and soothed, nestled close beneath her watchful gaze. The wild was unpredictable, filled with peril and beauty, but their bond was unbreakable. Tonight, the savanna was quiet, holding its breath with them. Amara's eyes closed briefly, savoring the peace before tomorrow's challenges. In the heart of the wild, love was the fiercest weapon, and family the strongest refuge. Their journey was far from over, but together they were unstoppable, a stunning testament to survival,